Jennifer Ashcroft, a 52-year-old woman with a captivating beauty and immense power, had built a solid empire in the cutthroat world of biotechnology. With a massive fortune and a career at its peak, she became a symbol of success, driven by sharp intellect and relentless ambition. Jennifer was no ordinary woman, and her life was far from predictable. Those around her looked at her with admiration, mixed with a bit of fear. What made Jennifer truly stand out wasn't just her outstanding professional achievements, but her ability to control and influence everything around her. Whether it was during intense business negotiations or in fiery romances, she was always the one in control, the one who determined the outcome. Ryan Breslin, a young man just turned 20, entered Jennifer's life like a mysterious breeze, carrying with him an irresistible charm. But beneath his attractive exterior lay a life in shambles. Ryan had dropped out of school, drifting from one temporary job to another, without ever finding meaning. He believed life was a series of dull, monotonous days, until he met Jennifer, a powerful woman who could change everything with just a nod. From the moment they met, Jennifer and Ryan's relationship was far from ordinary. Jennifer, having experienced several failed marriages and brief relationships, found in Ryan the freshness and allure she craved. For Ryan, Jennifer wasn't just a lover, she was the key to a lavish world he had never dared to dream of. They plunged into a relationship that both of them understood wasn't just built on love. Their relationship unfolded in secret, in luxurious mansions in Riverton, far from the prying eyes of the public. Outwardly, Jennifer continued to project an image of a strong, powerful woman who was always in control. But inside, complex emotions and inner conflicts began to surface, creating a fragile bond between two people from vastly different worlds. As the months passed, Ryan slowly realized that he was no longer himself. The luxurious life Jennifer provided began to feel like a gilded cage, trapping him in dependence. Meanwhile, Jennifer, who had always maintained the upper hand, started to feel insecurity creeping into their relationship. She could have never imagined that the young man she had chosen could become the source of a downfall she couldn't control. Jennifer wasn't just drawn to Ryan's physical appeal, but also to the sense of freedom and spontaneity he brought into her life. For someone so accustomed to control, Ryan was a temptation she couldn't resist. He was young, handsome, and seemingly easy to tame under Jennifer's skillful hand. She believed she could manipulate him, just like she had done with everything else in her life. But the harsh truth was that Ryan wasn't as easy to control as she thought. As time went on, Jennifer began to notice that Ryan wasn't entirely dependent on her like the men before him. He wasn't just a plaything or an opportunist seeking a way up. The freedom he carried within himself started to create cracks in their relationship. Jennifer wanted to control everything, but Ryan wanted to soar higher, out of her reach. That imbalance lit a slow-burning flame, waiting to ignite. The first signs of fracture weren't easy to spot, but they were there. Ryan no longer followed Jennifer's every word so easily. Their conversations began to have uncomfortable silences, with avoided glances and an undercurrent of tension. In her effort to maintain control, Jennifer tightened her grip, only to make Ryan feel more suffocated and distant. As the summer days slipped by and the chill of autumn crept in, the seemingly perfect relationship between Jennifer and Ryan began to crumble. Like a storm brewing beneath a calm surface, the tension quietly escalated, waiting to explode. Everything seemed like the calm before the storm. No one in Riverton could have imagined that behind Jennifer and Ryan's glamorous facade, a bloody tragedy was slowly unfolding, one that would drag everyone into its destructive vortex. Jennifer Ashcroft wasn't just a successful woman, she was a conqueror. Born into a middle-class family in the Boston suburbs, Jennifer exhibited intelligence and a strong will from an early age. She was a curious child, always pushing limits and determined not to let fate dictate her life. While her peers were still busy playing, young Jennifer was engrossed in complex science projects, nurturing big dreams for the future. At 16, her life took a dramatic turn when her neuroscience project on neurotransmitters caught the attention of a professor from MIT. This mentor not only recognized Jennifer's extraordinary talent but also opened doors for her in the academic world that few could even dream of. Before long, she was fast-tracked into MIT's prestigious neuroscience program, where she excelled, overcoming every challenge to become a standout student. But Jennifer's ambition didn't stop there. After graduating, she plunged into the biotech world, where cutting-edge brain interface technologies promised to change the future. By the age of 25, she had secured her first patent, an invention related to brain-computer interfaces, drawing the attention of several biotech startups. Within a few short years, Jennifer was leading one of the industry's top technology companies, where she not only spearheaded groundbreaking innovations but also amassed a vast fortune. However, along with her meteoric rise came Jennifer's less-than-stellar reputation. Those who had worked with her recalled that Jennifer would stop at nothing to achieve her goals. She had a knack for identifying people's weaknesses and exploiting them ruthlessly. In the business world, Jennifer was respected but also feared. For those who stood against her, being outmaneuvered by Jennifer's sharp intellect and relentless drive was inevitable. All of this success forged an image of Jennifer as cold, decisive, and seemingly devoid of personal feelings. She had gone through 3 failed marriages, each ending in bitterness. Her first husband, a fellow researcher at MIT, couldn't endure the emotional distance and filed for divorce after 3 years. Her second marriage to a venture capitalist lasted until the 5th year, before Jennifer's suspicions of infidelity led to a fiery split. The third marriage, to a much younger art dealer, also ended in failure. After her third marriage crumbled at age 48, Jennifer decided to abandon the search for traditional love. Instead, she turned to simpler relationships, ones where she always maintained control. Young men like Ryan Breslin became the perfect choice for a woman unwilling to sacrifice her freedom or power. But little did Jennifer know, while she believed she had everything under control, this relationship would mark the beginning of an unstoppable spiral toward her own destruction. Amidst her cold success and superficial relationships, Jennifer couldn't escape the suffocating loneliness that engulfed her. In those long, drawn-out nights, within the cold walls of her luxurious mansion, she began to feel an emptiness creeping into her life. It was during this time that Ryan Breslin appeared, like a fresh breeze, awakening deep desires Jennifer had long buried. Ryan, just 20 years old, was the complete opposite of Jennifer. Born into a poor family in rural Pennsylvania, he grew up facing countless hardships. His father, an alcoholic truck driver, was rarely home, while his mother struggled with depression, barely holding the family together. Ryan's childhood was filled with deprivation, both materially and emotionally. Yet, with his good looks and natural charm, he soon discovered he could use these traits to get ahead. After earning a basketball scholarship to a small college, Ryan quickly got caught up in the party lifestyle, neglecting his studies. As a result, he lost his scholarship and had to drop out. Too ashamed to return home, Ryan stayed in Philadelphia, scraping by with odd jobs and crashing on friends' couches. His life seemed to be at a standstill until fate brought him face to face with Jennifer at an upscale cafe where Ryan was working as a waiter. Jennifer was immediately captivated by Ryan's handsome looks and confident demeanor. To Ryan, Jennifer represented the pinnacle of success and sophistication, a life he had never dared to dream of. Their conversation began innocently enough but soon blossomed into something far more complicated. For Jennifer, Ryan wasn't just a young, attractive lover, he was a reflection of the power she so desperately wanted to cling to. For Ryan, Jennifer was a doorway to a life of luxury and opportunity. Their relationship quickly turned into an unspoken agreement. Jennifer offered Ryan money, a lavish lifestyle, and introductions to high society. In return, Ryan was to be her loyal companion, belonging to her alone. Jennifer began to control every aspect of Ryan's life, from his wardrobe to how he interacted with her elite social circle. With no escape from his former life, Ryan agreed to play this power game, unaware of the consequences it would bring. The early months of their relationship were filled with passion and excitement. Jennifer relished the opportunity to mold Ryan into the perfect version of the man she wanted. Together, they attended high society events, traveled to exotic destinations, and lived the life of the elite. Ryan, once a boy from humble beginnings, now donned expensive suits, mingled at lavish parties, and basked in the admiration of those around him. But beneath all the glamour, a darkness began to loom as Ryan gradually felt himself losing his identity in the life Jennifer had built for him. The early days between Jennifer and Ryan were filled with passion and allure, but over time, that glitter turned suffocating. Jennifer became increasingly controlling of Ryan, molding him into an extension of the luxurious life she had built. She began to dictate every aspect of his life, from his wardrobe to his art classes, even to the people he met. To Jennifer, Ryan wasn't just a captivating young lover, he was a symbol of power, a prized possession she had to keep tightly in her grasp. However, cracks were starting to form inside Ryan. The lavish lifestyle and Jennifer's control made him feel less like himself. The free-spirited, carefree days he once knew seemed distant, and Ryan began to lose his sense of identity in the perfect life Jennifer had created. But things truly began to change when Arya Thornton came into the picture. Arya, a vibrant and enthusiastic art student, worked part-time at the museum Ryan frequented at Jennifer's request. She embodied everything Jennifer didn't: youth, spontaneity, and carefree energy. From the very first meeting, Ryan was drawn to Arya's refreshing way of life, which stood in stark contrast to Jennifer's calculated, cold world. With each visit to the museum, Ryan found himself growing closer to Arya. Their animated conversations about art, philosophy, and life reignited parts of him that had long been buried. Arya wasn't just a new friend, she was an escape from Jennifer's controlling grip. These museum visits slowly turned into unofficial dates, as Ryan spent more time with Arya and began to rediscover himself in her bright eyes and infectious enthusiasm. As Ryan became more absorbed in Arya's world, Jennifer, with her sharp instincts and experience, quickly sensed the shift. She noticed the signs of Ryan's growing distance, the frequent absences, the constant checking of his phone, the joy in his eyes when he received messages from someone. Jennifer's suspicions flared. She knew something wasn't right, and her controlling instincts kicked in stronger than ever. Jennifer couldn't afford to lose Ryan. He wasn't just a lover, he was proof of her power and absolute control. And as she sensed the threat Arya posed, Jennifer became willing to do whatever it took to protect what she believed was hers. Jennifer Ashcroft, accustomed to having control over everything in her life, was now grappling with an unfamiliar emotion: jealousy. As the distance between her and Ryan became more apparent, a fear of losing her power and control began to overwhelm her. Jennifer couldn't tolerate the idea that Ryan, the man she had molded from a nobody into a refined and sophisticated gentleman, was slipping away from her for a younger woman whom she deemed inferior. This jealousy pushed Jennifer to take actions that were subtle yet ruthless. First, she installed tracking software on Ryan's phone, justifying it as a way to ensure his safety while traveling for work. But in reality, Jennifer wanted to monitor Ryan's every move, tracking his secret meetings with Arya. She kept a close eye on his actions, from his messages to private phone calls. However, this surveillance didn't quell the growing jealousy within her. Jennifer didn't stop at tracking Ryan. She hired a professional private investigator to follow him whenever he left the house. The detailed reports of Ryan's meetings with Arya only deepened Jennifer's suspicions. Each page describing the time Ryan and Arya spent together felt like a dagger to Jennifer's pride. She couldn't accept the thought of losing control over the man she had transformed from obscurity into her ideal partner. As Jennifer's jealousy consumed her, she became more determined to maintain control over Ryan. She frequently reminded him of everything she had done for him, from pulling him out of poverty to opening doors for him in elite social circles. To Jennifer, Ryan should feel nothing but gratitude and absolute loyalty. But for Ryan, these constant reminders only added to the weight of his burden. One night, when Ryan came home late after meeting with Arya, Jennifer could no longer contain her anger. She confronted him, unleashing all her suspicions and rage. "You've betrayed me. I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me." Jennifer's words signaled the beginning of a relentless conflict. Ryan, worn down by months of control and pressure, could no longer bear it. He tried to remain calm, explaining that his relationship with Arya was strictly platonic. But Jennifer, driven by her fear of losing control, refused to believe him. She could no longer distinguish between reality and the obsessive thoughts swirling in her mind. The tension in their confrontation escalated, with Jennifer repeatedly reminding Ryan of everything she had done for him, demanding his unwavering loyalty. Ryan felt trapped, as if his freedom was nothing more than a distant dream. He didn't know how to escape the suffocating relationship he found himself in. Jennifer's control extended beyond emotional manipulation and began to seep into Ryan's social life. She quietly plotted to undermine every relationship Ryan had, including his bond with Arya. Jennifer didn't hesitate to use every tactic at her disposal, from smearing Arya's reputation to pressuring Ryan's friends, gradually isolating him. In Jennifer's mind, there was only one outcome: Ryan had to belong to her entirely, and anyone who interfered would face serious consequences. However, she didn't realize that her desperation and obsession were driving Ryan further away, creating a spiral of destruction from which neither of them could escape. Ryan Breslin now felt like a bird trapped in Jennifer's gilded cage. The luxurious lifestyle she provided became chains, confining him in a suffocating relationship. Evenings filled with expensive wine, designer clothes, and lavish events now meant nothing more than a thin veil covering the emptiness and despair Ryan was enduring. He longed to escape Jennifer's grip, but he knew it wouldn't be easy. The days under Jennifer's control had transformed Ryan into someone he no longer recognized. Every morning, waking up in the opulent mansion felt like being stuck in a strange dream, living a life that wasn't truly his. What once filled him with pride, the tailored suits, the glamorous parties, had become sources of disgust, weighing heavily on his mind. Jennifer, always perceptive, couldn't ignore the subtle changes in Ryan's behavior. He no longer seemed interested in the gifts she showered him with or the extravagant trips they once enjoyed. Each time Ryan looked at her, the spark was gone, replaced by a growing distance. The harder Jennifer tried to hold on to him, to tighten her control, the more he pulled away. She could feel it, but she couldn't bring herself to lose the control she had worked so hard to maintain. For Ryan, after months of living under Jennifer's tight grip, a new escape appeared in the form of Arya. She was the polar opposite of Jennifer, young, lively, and bringing a sense of freedom that Ryan had long lost. Time with Arya allowed Ryan to temporarily forget the gilded cage he was trapped in. But this newfound relief brought its own torment. Every time he met Arya, Ryan knew he was deceiving Jennifer, who had given him so much. Yet Arya's allure was too powerful, and Ryan couldn't stop himself. Jennifer started noticing Ryan's growing coldness, and suspicions began to rise. Though she didn't voice them, deep down, she knew something was wrong. She saw how he glanced at his phone, how his meetings lasted longer, and how his excuses for coming home late were becoming more flimsy. Jennifer, who had always been in control, now felt like she was about to lose the man she had worked so hard to create. Jennifer's control extended beyond mere actions. She began using every tool she had to keep Ryan close. Sudden illnesses, from headaches to fainting spells, always seemed to happen whenever Ryan had plans with Arya. Jennifer knew that as long as she made Ryan feel guilty and worried about her health, he wouldn't leave. But that wasn't all. Jennifer decided to dig into Ryan's past, looking for anything she could use as leverage. After some investigation, she uncovered a shocking secret Ryan had kept hidden for years. During his college days, he had caused a hit-and-run accident and fled the scene. Though the incident had faded from memory, Jennifer knew this was her trump card. She didn't use it right away, but waited for the perfect moment to force Ryan back into the path she had laid out for him. Unaware of Jennifer's surveillance, Ryan had no idea that his every move was being watched, and that the past he had buried was now in the hands of the woman he wanted to escape. His despair deepened each day as his relationship with Jennifer became an unbearable burden. Yet, even though he wanted to leave, Ryan knew it wouldn't be simple. Jennifer wasn't the type to easily let go of what she considered hers. Her control was like a complex web, slowly tightening around Ryan, making him feel powerless over his fate. Ryan spent more and more time with Arya, finding solace in the freedom and fresh energy she offered. However, their relationship couldn't stay hidden forever. Arya, unaware of Jennifer's ruthless control, began to notice that Ryan was being pushed to his limits. She tried to encourage him to find a way out of the suffocating situation, but even she didn't fully grasp the danger Ryan was in. Meanwhile, Jennifer became increasingly obsessed with the fear of losing her power. She could sense Ryan slipping away from the orbit she had placed him in. The growing coldness between them only fueled her jealousy and desperation. Jennifer was determined not to lose Ryan, not out of love, but because she couldn't bear the thought of losing the control and authority she had painstakingly built. Jennifer believed she could always keep the upper hand, but little did she know, with each passing day, Ryan was drifting further away. The chains of control and jealousy were driving them both toward an inevitable, tragic end. That night, Jennifer's mansion was cloaked in an eerie silence, but the atmosphere inside was thick with tension. Ryan arrived home later than usual, looking exhausted and uneasy. Jennifer had been waiting, her cold eyes following him as soon as the door creaked open. The jealousy and suspicion simmering inside her were like a smoldering flame, ready to erupt at any moment. "Where have you been?" Jennifer's voice cut through the silence, laced with accusation. Ryan hesitated, knowing this confrontation was unavoidable. "Just out with a few friends," he tried to remain calm, but there was a clear sense of unease in his gaze. Jennifer couldn't hold back any longer. "Don't lie to me, Ryan. I know everything. Who is she? What does she have that made you betray me? I've given you everything, and this is how you repay me." Her voice grew sharper, filled with disappointment and anger. Ryan felt trapped, cornered by her accusations. "Jennifer, I can't keep doing this. I feel suffocated," Ryan said, his voice weary but firm. His words hit Jennifer like a shockwave. She couldn't believe the man she had supported fully was now trying to walk away. Jennifer stood up abruptly, her eyes blazing with fury. "Suffocated? You're living in a home millions dream of. Everything you have is because of me. And now you want to leave?" Ryan stepped back, feeling the tension escalate. The years of feeling controlled and confined were bubbling to the surface. "Jennifer, I can't keep living like this. I need freedom. I can't be controlled anymore." Jennifer's anger reached a breaking point. She walked over to the liquor cabinet, grabbed a crystal vase, and in her rage, threw it at Ryan. "You will never leave me. You belong to me," she screamed, her face filled with panic. Ryan quickly dodged, but the vase shattered against the wall, the sound a clear warning that things were spiraling out of control. He tried to stay calm. "Jennifer, stop. We need to talk, but not like this." However, Jennifer had lost all composure. She rushed at Ryan, desperate to release the anger that had built up inside her. They struggled, both trying to gain control of the situation. Amid the chaos, Jennifer suddenly lost her balance and slipped, falling hard to the floor. Time seemed to slow as she hit the corner of the table, then collapsed onto the ground. A deadly silence filled the room. Jennifer lay motionless, and the only sound was Ryan's heart pounding in his chest. He looked down, stunned, unable to process what had just happened. Blood began to pool from her head, spreading across the floor. Ryan stood frozen, helpless, unsure of what to do next. In that moment, his entire world seemed to collapse. Jennifer, the strong and powerful woman who had held control over his life, now lay still and silent. A tragic ending that no one could have predicted. Panic set in. Ryan looked around, desperately trying to figure out how to escape the horrific scene, but every possible exit seemed blocked. His mind was clouded, unable to think clearly. What had happened was too shocking, too sudden. He couldn't believe things had ended this way. For a fleeting moment, Ryan thought about running, leaving the scene behind and escaping it all. But deep down, he knew there was no escaping the consequences of this fateful night. This nightmare would haunt him forever, and nothing could change the terrible fate that lay ahead. In his panic, Ryan considered calling the police, but fear quickly took over. Would they see it as an accident? Or would everything spiral into something far worse? The mansion was eerily quiet, as if waiting for fate's final judgment. Ryan looked at Jennifer again, the woman who had once symbolized power and strength in his eyes, now a tragic figure. He knew, no matter what he did, his life had taken a turn from which there was no return. There would be no forgiveness, no escape from the reality of the situation. All he could do was face the truth, no matter how harsh it was. The mansion remained shrouded in silence, leaving Ryan alone with the weight of an impossible decision hanging over him. The next morning, Jennifer's mansion was eerily silent. The only sound came from the soft footsteps of Elydia Ramirez, Jennifer's loyal housekeeper, as she arrived to clean, as usual. But when Elydia stepped into the living room, a horrifying sight awaited her. Jennifer lay motionless on the floor, dried blood matted on her head, and the air was disturbingly still. Elydia's scream shattered the morning's quiet, drawing neighbors to the scene. An emergency call was made, and in no time, chaos ensued as investigators swarmed the mansion. Detective Lydia Blackwell, a veteran in Riverton's Homicide Division, arrived at the scene within hours. As she stepped into the opulent yet blood-soaked room, Lydia immediately sensed this was no ordinary case. The scene before her was one of raw emotions, a clash that had led to a devastating outcome. Ryan Breslin, having fled the scene in a panic, quickly became the prime suspect. A nationwide manhunt was launched. Meanwhile, the investigation began to unravel dark secrets about the complex relationship between Jennifer and Ryan. Investigators discovered not only signs of a power struggle between the two but also hints of violence and Jennifer's obsessive need to control Ryan. As they delved deeper, reports from the private investigator Jennifer had hired revealed her growing suspicions and jealousy. Witnesses, including Elydia and Jennifer's friends, described heated arguments and escalating tension in recent months. Arya Thornton's name, a figure believed to have caused a rift between Jennifer and Ryan, came up repeatedly during interviews. Ryan was apprehended just days later at a small motel not far from the city. His face bore signs of exhaustion and panic. During interrogation, Ryan claimed he never intended to kill Jennifer. It had been a horrific accident after a heated argument. He admitted that his relationship with Jennifer had become suffocating, and he felt trapped. But nothing could undo the damage that had been done. Arya, summoned as a witness, painted Ryan as a victim, manipulated and controlled by Jennifer. She described him as a young man desperate to escape a toxic relationship but unable to break free from Jennifer's grip of control and threats. Initially, the public condemned Ryan, labeling him a gold digger who had taken advantage of Jennifer. But as the investigation unfolded, the narrative became more complex. Ryan wasn't just a young man seeking wealth, he was a victim of Jennifer's obsession and control, a woman who couldn't bear to lose her power over him. Ryan's case eventually closed with a manslaughter conviction, sentencing him to 10 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 3 years for cooperating with the investigation. However, the sentence sparked public debate. Some felt he had been punished too harshly, while others believed he should have faced a stricter penalty for Jennifer's death. The story of Jennifer Ashcroft and Ryan Breslin was not just a tragedy of jealousy and control but a cautionary tale about the dangerous consequences of obsession with power and possession. In the shadows of wealth and success, the silent conflict between two seemingly incompatible individuals had led to a tragic end no one could have foreseen.